Peace and blessings is real. First and foremost, I want to take this time and give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh through his only begotten Son, Yahushua, for allowing this word to come out. And I hope you sincere brothers and sisters is edified by this word. And the name of the lesson is called Sign of the End Times, Biblical News. I want to say volume 244. And in this edition, we're going to speak about the coronavirus. Okay, this is nothing new, aka COVID-19. This is not a new subject, but what's alarming about the coronavirus, aka COVID-19, is 500,000 children. That's 500,000 of our children have tested positive for COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, man. Now, I want you to pause and think about that for a minute. All right, we're talking about our youth. We're talking about our children. We're talking about those that's going to be the future. Okay, 500,000 of the kids, man, the children, have tested positive for COVID-19, aka the coronavirus. And this has been since the pandemic have began. This is where we're at. Okay, 500,000 children. Okay, now this is according to AAP, or should we say American Academy of Pediatrics. Okay. According to AAP, aka American Academy of Pediatrics, 500,000 children have tested positive for the COVID-19, aka coronavirus, man. So that makes up 9.8% of all COVID cases, man. So that's almost 10% of all COVID cases, which means that 5 million, it's been 5 million cases, COVID cases. And 10% of those have been children, like you see on the screen. And I mean, when you really look at this thing, man, it's been, I said 5 million, but really over 6 million cases have been reported. So when you look at that 10%, man, it should be more than 500,000 children that have tested positive, man. And that's according to, as far as the number of over 6 million cases have been reported, that's according to Johns Hopkins University. So when you analyze these 500,000 children that have tested positive for COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, that would be that number would represent the last 6-7 months, because we're going back to March is when this really got out of hand. So let's say March of 2020 to now, up until now, that's 6 to 7 months, man, that you have this going on. And those that have children, hey, man, I hope that you really be careful with your kids, man, as far as exposing them to what's out here. Now, these children, a lot of them are exposed to other kids at school, at the playgrounds. It's various different ways that our children are being exposed, even from their own household. Like one of the parents, might test positive. It don't really break down. It don't break down really how these kids and where they where they came up positive at. But the point I'm making is, man, we forget about the children. Usually when you see the news and you see cases of coronavirus, you never really hear them say children. They'll either say 10,000 new cases, or they'll say 200 or 300 more deaths, but you really don't see them talk about the children that are coronavirus positive. It's usually adults, or they just say it in general. But over 500,000 children since March of this year have tested positive for the coronavirus, aka COVID-19. You see, I have a granddaughter that's 9 years old, man. And this summer, she was playing with the neighborhood friends, and my mom's was real nervous because she didn't want my granddaughter to be exposed to one of the neighborhood kids that could have had it. So she made her wear a mask all the time, man. Now that's crazy when you gotta worry about your grandkids or great grandkids getting COVID-19, man. This is crazy. But we are in a sign of the end times, because as dangerous as this disease is supposed to be, come on, man, it wasn't never supposed to be where our kids is being exposed to this, man. This is like way out of line. When it trickled down to our kids being affected by it, man. Cold-blooded, man. We're going to come out with 2 scriptures, man, and try to close this thing out, man. Again, what's the name of the lesson? Sign of the End Times, Biblical News, volume 244, I want to say. In this edition, we're dealing with 500,000 children coronavirus positive, or test positive, man. And that's very alarming, man. It's really something to think about, man. In Psalms 91, verse 5, it reads, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day." Okay? It says, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night." So in other words, man, you shouldn't experience fear. You shouldn't experience dreadfulness from a sudden attack. Okay? You shouldn't be scared for the great unexpected. Okay? You shouldn't be scared for the great unexplained, because that's exactly what it is, man. It says, "Thou shalt not be afraid by the terror by night." Yeah, man. It says, verse 6, "Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness." Now, what did Donald Trump say, man, when it came to COVID-19? He said it's invisible. And that lines right up with the scriptures. It says, "Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness." That's secretly, that's privily, that's invisible, that can't be prevented, that can't be foreseen. You see that? This is something you can't even see. So imagine our kids. I mean, it's already supposed to be a disease where you can't see it. So if that's true, imagine our children, man. They in trouble. They in trouble, man. They are in trouble, man. It said it walketh in darkness. You see that? The darkness is talking about is walking in secret, walking privily, walking invisible, walking where it can't be prevented, walking where you can't foresee it, man. That's the darkness is what it's talking about. It says, "Nor for the destruction that wasted or lay waste at noonday," man. Cold-blooded, man. Cold-blooded. Again, what's the name of the lesson, man? Sign of the End Times, Biblical News, volume 244, man. And in this edition, we're dealing with 500,000 children test positive for coronavirus, man. So any of you sincere brothers and sisters out there that have children or grandchildren, man, and I'm talking about little children like you see on the screen. We're not talking about adult kids. We're talking about children. My heart goes out to you, man. And, the one thing I'll tell you is, hey, you have to be safe, man. Let's just keep it all the way funky, man. You got to be safe, man, and try to protect your kids, man. Because what we're dealing with today is the Great Plague, aka the Great Pestilence. All right. Now, again, as we close this out in Psalms 91, verse 6, and it reads, let's back it up. Psalm 91, verse 5 and 6, man. And it reads, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. And here's the point in verse 6. Don't be afraid for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. What pestilence that we're dealing with today that walk in darkness, man? Coronavirus, aka COVID-19, man. Yeah. So we're getting ready to enter into this so-called fall, winter season. And man, listen, whatever this is out here, COVID, so-called COVID or coronavirus and whatnot, hey, man, we really got to protect these kids the best as we can and try to less expose them to what's out here, man, because keep in mind when these kids are testing positive, just imagine these kids that got compromised health. Whew. That's extremely hard on them, man. I hope you sincere brothers and sisters was edified by this word. And we give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh through his only begotten son, Yahushua, for allowing his word to come out, man. Shalom.